Welcome to another episode. Miles Monroe once said, "A man is like an onion. Its potential is exposed one layer at a time until all of him is revealed." Today we're going to discuss father, man, friend, brother, uncle. We're going to have a conversation with Demetrius Bastian, my good friend. We're going to talk about fatherhood and his journey. And if we're not sure, he's going to tell us about the journey you've had over the last year or so. Demetrius, thanks for coming, man.
Respect, man. It's good to be here.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
You know, when you called me, you was pondering if you should actually get this podcast off the floor. And I really thought that you really had a message to get out, and I'm glad that you actually was obedient and took the leap, and had the opportunity to share your messages and to have influential guests on the show. So I'm grateful that you actually had me in the lineup.
It's easy, man. I asked you if you was interested in sharing your story. I know it's a delicate one. And you said to me, hey, I feel like they have there. They have there from us. They have there. So, I want to say thank you for, accepting the invitation. The last two podcasts we talked about pretty much sports and entrepreneurship. So this one is going to be a little more different. Tell us a little about yourself, what you want to share. And let's go right into it, man. Let's just spot on. I said it's spot on. Just dive right in. Dive into it. You can start your story, and I'll intervene with a question there or there. And
all right. Well, I started my journey in fatherhood. Let's talk about fatherhood. About 10 years ago, I had a boy, beautiful boy. He's like anything a father could ever ask for. And one of the promises I've always made to myself and to him was that I was going to try to be the best father that I could have been. Mm-hmm. And we don't usually know what that means because first time out, it's trial and error. Right. Trial and error, But I can tell you what we learn as men and as fathers is that we want to be the best example for them. So for them, most of us may not have had an example in the home.
Did you have an example in the home?
No. I grew up with a single mother, and it's life. People make decisions and they go their separate ways.
So based on what you're saying, everything you learned about fatherhood was trial and error, like you mentioned.
Pretty much.
So it was just your mommy.
Yeah. So I found myself becoming more involved in civic organizations in church, and just older men that I looked up to. So I created an amalgamated father in my mind, Okay. So anytime I needed to talk, I could have leaned on each one of the men in my life to get that constant support or vote of confidence.
Right. So let's fast forward just a tad bit. Sorry, not fast forward, let's backtrack. So it's just you, how much siblings you have?
I have 2 siblings.
How much is in the home?
1.
So it's 2 of y'all and your mommy?
2 with my mommy, 2 with my dad.
Right, so now it's just you and your
older brother.
That's the one who I know?
That's the one you
know.
That's
Gio.
Yeah, that's Gio.
All right, so your mommy raised you all?
Pretty much,
for the most part. But through it all, you made of, what's the big word you use? A fatherhood?
Amalgamate.
Yeah. Fatherhood. Based on church and what type of organization? You had civic organization?
You talk about Key Club. Rotary.
Right.
Toastmasters.
All these stuff. Who's in Toastmasters too?
I didn't make no speeches. That's when, much younger and lack of confidence.
Right.
But you just went just because you were invited.
Yeah.
But those are some of the things now you try to impart on your children, like take advantage of
To
so
those
many
things.
opportunities.
Right.
Because you never know how this is going to benefit you later on in
life.
life.
Yeah, the relationships you build from these organizations, the things you learn, and the way that you're able to articulate your thoughts, your words, and what are you gonna do, and how you're gonna get it done.
Exactly.
Like I mentioned, the quote from Miles Monroe is like, we peel away these layers subconsciously because we don't even know. There's no plan. Like we say, okay, but like taking off the skin now. Like for example, fatherhood, taking off the skin is producing a child, and then as they go older and they go to different things, and new experience just layer after layer after layer. But we don't plan it; it just happens. And it's like you say, I too, similar situation, but reverse. But let's focus on you. So just a little bit more about your journey.
All right. To get in the real deal, I was a man who was successful as an athlete in university, had an opportunity to compete internationally, and a shot to actually go pro playing American football.
Which college you went to?
Langston
So
University.
that's where Jimmy went, right?
Jimmy
Yeah,
Mackey.
Jimmy went there too. Right, he spoke with us last week.
I could tell you, when you talk about Made in the Shade,
Yeah.
Jimmy was like, they had a red carpet out for Jimmy.
Yeah?
Yeah, but me, I couldn't miss the weight room section.
Right.
Jimmy wouldn't want me to tell this story, but I'll put him out there. I remember one time Jimmy is in the weight room. Jimmy, his brother Valentino, and Jason Edgecombe. Jason was lifting weights. Tino was lifting weights. Jimmy on the next side of the weight room, just sitting down on the ab machine. He ain't doing no work. He just sitting
Sit
down,
down.
buying time. But when you superstar on the basketball team, I mean,
You get away with certain things.
you can play with plenty things.
Jimmy, we just exposed you. You weren't talking about that last week, but anyway.
No, but I can tell you he's a great dude.
Yeah.
So proud to see what he has done. And again, similar upbringings like us, and
Right.
you see he's made a significant impact in the country and in the world.
Right.
But like I said, started at Langston University, got my degree, everything is going well, climbing the ranks at a local financial institution, became branch manager, successful, and just started to make some poor decisions. Made some decisions where it cost me my job ultimately.
Right.
It was unfortunate because I know better,
Right.
but I made a decision that affected not only myself, but it affected my entire family.
Right.
So from that, I can tell you from 2017, my life has been in a tailspin,
Right.
culminating last year.
Right. Before you get to last year, you said from 2017 to now, your life has been in a tailspin. Do you find yourself, or how do you find yourself in that moment, anywhere in that frame of time where you was trying your best to maintain who we know you to be?
I would say yeah, and I think that was a part of the challenge, trying to maintain an image of what people know me as.
How hard is that? Like, before we get any deeper, like I wanna stay right here for a moment. As men, we have to be. Society has us to be strong. We have to. This is just my street knowledge, and this is what society portrays at times. You have to be strong. You have to be extremely strong. You have to be able to. How do I say it? You have to be able to like not show your weakness, right? So not even by being strong.
Vulnerable.
Right. You got to withhold your vulnerability, right? We have to go home and be able to be fathers to our kids, to be husbands to our wives, be leaders on the job if that's our position, and all these things, and then life takes a turn. Maybe for a decision that we make or we did not make. but we still find a way to try to maintain this, like, I am still the same Demetrius, I am still the same Gallo. There's nothing going on in the background, but we're hurting. We made some decisions. I know you said you made some decisions, and I say we, I mean, speaking generally, man, we make decisions sometimes that affects more than just us. But we try to push on, and sometimes we dig ourselves so deep that we make situations worse than it had to be, if that makes sense.
Correct.
How do we normalize that? Hey, if I mess up, it's okay for me to reach out to a friend or to one of those mentors to say, hey, but I had a bad point and I really mess up. And I feel like it's the end. First of all, we have to find the nerve and the courage to have that conversation, one. And then on the flip side, the person that you have the conversation with have to be understandable enough not to shun you off. Be like, the typical thing to be is, man up, man. We can be all right. Everybody makes mistakes. But you really hurting. Did you go through that process?
Most definitely. So I would put it to you like this. One of the things that as men we need to get rid of is that cultural indoctrination. In our mind, we would say, or the standard has been set, oh, you need to be strong. You don't need no help, man up. All these things, all these lingos that we throw around. And I would put it to you like this. If you can't go to a so-called friend or brother and empty yourself, be vulnerable and express yourself and let them know that you need help, that ain't the person you need to be messing with. Right. All right?
But is it intentional though? So like, why I said this because, and I'll say this on there, we've had those conversations where we both, you emptied in me and vice versa. But we have friends that seem that they want the best for us, but they're not built to take that on. So being built to take that on and being deflective is two different things. How did you differentiate when you was going through your process?
So fortunately or unfortunately, this is where faith comes in. All right? Because now when you would go and try to access somebody you thought would have been available or provide the encouragement that you need, and they let you down, you shouldn't look at it as a disappointment. Yeah, we human, you gonna feel hurt, but at the same time, it's a level of exposure because we don't know what's behind the next door or what's down the road. So I'm glad to learn the lesson now than rather later. You understand? When you now go through that trial and error phase, unfortunately, we have to put our friends in buckets. We have to compartmentalize them. They are who they are. Right.
You have to
even family
who they are.
Exactly, even family. You have to compartmentalize and be like, you know what? Well, hey, if I need this, I can call this person just for this only. This their function in my life. Right. If I need this friend for this is who I could call, and that's how you have to kind of look at it.
So do you do that in order to protect yourself?
I wouldn't say is protect, but
like avoid like you say the disappointment. Not so protect might be not the right word, but to say okay, I ain't gonna go out to talk basketball because this boy don't know nothing but basketball.
So you make an excellent point. You gotta look at it. Do they have the capacity to deal with what you're talking about?
Right.
All right. You going through hardship in your life. They may never experience that. So that's foreign to them.
Right.
How is it that you can lean on someone for advice where they never gone through? I always use example of building homes.
Right.
If you've never went through the mortgage process in the Bahamas or the construction of a home in the Bahamas, how can I realistically tell you how to do that?
Listen, that's right there. Boy, that's a lot. That's a headache.
So if someone hasn't been exposed to a certain area or a certain aspect of life, It's no knock on them. I mean, they may be great people,
Right.
but you can't hold that against them. You have to understand that I may have to access this information or access this level of support from somewhere else.
Right.
And you have to be comfortable with that.
Right.
A lot of times we are not comfortable with that. You know, I may have just met someone yesterday and they would have made a significant impact in my life over the last 24 hours rather than some people.
I saw a quote about that just the other day that mentioned pretty much saying the same you're saying. I have friends for 3 years that hasn't, I lose your word, it doesn't have any value versus the friend that I've had for 3 months. And not that they like them any less or love them anymore. It's just like you say, you now know how to depart, how to put them in. What the word is?
Compartmentalize.
Compartmentalize. But all private school boys, I got to take advantage of you. I get you on the show. I got to take advantage of you.
I hear that.
But you don't got to tell nobody what school you been to. But anyway, so
he wearing the colors on the hat.
So I'll ask you this. I'll put you spot on the spot. How much friends did you lose during what we'll call your hardship?
To say lose, I wouldn't call it lose, to be honest with you. Maybe whilst I was going through the hardship, I would look at it as a loss. Mm-hmm. But I don't look at it as a loss
now.
No more, no.
But now. But at that point, let's talk about at that point.
So if you're talking about during the time when I was going, I felt that I felt everybody left me. That's how I felt. But that's also was contributed based on what I was going through.
Right.
That caused me to look at things like that. I looked at myself like a leper. Nobody wanted to fuck with me.
So that was fine.
Sorry.
Yeah, man. It's good.
Nobody wanted to mess with me.
Yeah.
And because who I was prior to my hardships,
Right.
and who I was during the hardship,
Uh-huh.
it was very difficult for people to approach me, and they didn't know how to.
Right.
And
Because you don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I, too, didn't know what to say. Now, so 21 by 7. That's what they say. So when you hear this and you hear that, whatever, like, oh, boy, that can't be true. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah. It's like, all right, so how do I now have the conversation with them to find out if you're all right?
Check this out. If you truly love somebody or they supposed to be your friend, you're supposed to have that uncomfortable conversation.
But we got to that point. But how much of those conversations that you had that you felt like was a refreshment for you? Like, because we friends, so I know you and I know who you hang out with on a consistent basis, right? Or who you talk to on a consistent basis. Now, I'm not sure, I'm not calling any names, I'm not sure who would have distanced themselves or not know how to deal with the situation or whatever, how to approach the situation. But eventually you would have the other conversation as like, okay, well, now I understand. Like, did that conversation happen with a lot of people where you feel like a part of you now, to mature part of it, it's like, okay, that was a refreshing conversation, a refreshing, uncomfortable conversation that needed to happen, and I'm glad it happened. Now we can move forward. Did those conversations happen, and this is how you got to the point to where you are now?
No, to be honest with you. I mean, I got to this point on the prayers of many, my wife, and just my decision to want to be better. Mm-hmm. At the time, I had 2 kids.
Right.
And I had to realistically look at myself and try to figure out, you know what, I have to turn this around.
Right.
Because if I don't turn this around, all I'm doing is repeating the cycle. Brokenness and transferring it right to the next generation.
So you woke up
Had to.
one day,
Had to.
cold turkey.
I wouldn't say cold turkey, but
She said you got a fireplace, a torch.
I wouldn't say cold turkey, but I
That
would
down the
say
floor.
through counseling, through tough conversations.
So let's talk about that then. You brought it up. Let's talk about it. Counseling. It was your idea to get counseling?
Yeah. Yeah.
and you found it helpful.
Very much so.
You didn't feel like, I as a man,
No.
I don't need this. I need this counseling thing.
Let-
This ain't for me. Men don't go to counseling.
Let me tell you, and that's a bunch of garbage. All right. I think nowadays we understand the importance of our mental health.
Right.
Not only men, women as well. We understand the importance of how we need to be clear in order for us to lead properly in our homes. So going through counseling gave me the refresher that I needed to get my life back on track. Remember now, most of the times we sit there, we got it together, but we screwing it up even more.
Right.
You know? And I think based on a lot of the, like I say, our culture, we viewed it, men are strong, we supposed to be this, that, and the next thing. So we also keep our business in house. If you
Yeah.
talk to the generation before us, ain't nobody need to know your business.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody need to, why you out there talking to anybody? So you almost conditioned to not speak.
Yeah.
And it's not intentional, but we don't know how to,
Yeah.
So when you now start to unlock these boxes in counseling, trust me, it's a weight lifted off your shoulder. Ain't nothing wrong with counseling.
I like that you said that, because it's like we so afraid as men, and it's just how society has us, is like we're not supposed to be comfortable going to counseling. We as men, like you say, anything we have going on, we need to deal with it on our own.
Suck that shit up.
Yeah, go, in some cases, I mean, like, listen, I don't subscribe to all avenues, but in some cases, somebody will go out and have a drink. Somebody will go and have a joint. Somebody will go out and go to church. It's just different ways. But counseling was always like, you crazy. Like, you only supposed to go to them places if you losing it in your mind.
But that's the stigma that's the false narrative that has been created by unfortunately the generation before us.
Right.
Realize that when we now dealing with our kids now, our style of parenting is completely different from what we came up with.
And it's so funny you said, right? The same parents that raised us is let the children get away with
murder.
everything.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. That's
It's
how
like
it is.
this can't be the same mommy, or this can't be the same daddy, or the same Grammy of this. They still alive. That I wasn't able to do these things.
I can assure you, when we become grandparents, we can do the same thing with
Like,
you.
will I already have that plan? Like, I have that jot down to be like, the granddad don't care, but nothing.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have to we have to get to the point where we normalize that, and it's not just women that go through these things. It's not just women that have marital issues and have hard times. It's men, and we have to normalize getting help, having an uncomfortable conversation. I have to be able to accept you as a friend coming to have these conversations, and you have to be able to accept having those conversations.
So you just to make sure expand on that point, you have to understand that when you do approach somebody in that crisis moment or that period of hardship, you may get some feedback that is negative. It's nothing intentional towards you,
Right.
But is just that, hey, I'm kind of disappointed in what I've become or what I've done, and I'm not looking to be chastised by anybody right now.
Right.
But when you have that moment of reflection and be like, you know what, Carlo came and with a good clean heart, this dude really trying to help me, you will see that friend who will keep coming back no matter what. Like, forget what you say. I with you on each step of the way.
Right.
And that's the type of people you need to surround yourself. Maybe it's one person, maybe it'll be 5 people, but you have to understand that, at the end of the day, this is the set of people that you need to invest your time in.
Which makes sense. So, as time goes on, right? Let's continue to move forward in your journey. You mentioned at the time you start off with one, now you have another child, son. You have 2 boys. How old are your boys?
9 and 3.
So let's talk about the 3-year-old. You shared something with me a few weeks ago. He broke his arm. How we doing?
Do it jumping on the bed, playing wrestling. WWE.
Now, at this time. Oh, that's how he broke it.
That's how he broke it.
So how is he doing now?
Gas off and right back at it.
Back at it again.
And nothing stopped.
No fair.
No fail.
So I glad you said that, right? So how do we as adults hold on and be so fearful of every and any little thing when growing up we had no fear at all?
Again, conditioning. It all goes down to conditioning. You would see that when you young, for those who grow up on the island, you be diving in the canal, just diving in the deep part of the canal. Can't swim,
Can't swim.
But you can figure that shit out.
You can figure it out when you done touch the
You
water.
can figure it out, you know. But again, it'll be the simple things, very simple things, and we may be doing it unconsciously. It'd be like, oh, watch out. Oh, don't do this. Oh, and we become so overly protective of our kids. I mean, I personally don't do it.
Yeah, but I've seen that happen just this weekend. I said my sister, well, my niece, first birthday, by them, not a little girl. And they ran around on the grass, but every time they stumble, one uncle like, hey,
Yeah.
I can say you get you stroking, right?
Yeah.
So let her fall.
Yeah.
She all right?
Yeah.
How much times you fall on the back of your head?
Countless.
You know? But I said, I say that to say, like, the fear that we have about life and taking the leap of faith and all these things as adults is amazing, because those fears was never there when we were kids.
Life will change a lot of experiences for you. So a lot of people may not have faced any challenging times where they were forced or they had to shift, or pivot. So it becomes routine. So I give you an example. When raising my kids, my children don't call me daddy. They call me buddy, and people look at it as like, that's weird. Like, they don't call you daddy?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they call me as a buddy. Everything is buddy.
I like that though.
Well, I hope my daughter calls me. I hope she calls me daddy.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of change the script of what you want your children to be. So my son, a couple of years ago, he turned off the light for the now 3-year-old. I said, ooh, boo, trying to scare him like some ghost. And I pulled my son to the side. I say, no, you don't do that. I say, you're going to condition him to be afraid of the dark.
Yeah.
Before, this dude used to just walk down the hallway by himself, go in the room, and come back. Now, someone needs to go with him, because that one night, my oldest son turned off the light and started to scare. And you would see that happen in home, on the job, through social circles. Don't do this. They always want to kind of clamp people down in the box. But if you release people, you'll really see the true value or the true contribution in your life.
So let's talk about life and what we plan for our life versus what God has already planned for us. Ready to go there?
Yeah, man.
So you mentioned that everything was going good for you. Got a job, moving up, lost your job, you hit a low point. So between 2017 and 2020, you had a rough time, but you was able to crawl yourself out of it.
Correct.
I remember you calling me and telling me that you now at this place working and you're doing this thing, and call me if anything, and if I could help you, boom, boom, boom. The conversations we had. Here comes COVID. 2019, 2020? 2020. March 2020. Your whole life changed. You mentioned your wife. You mentioned your kids. You have 2 boys and a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the night, you don't have a wife to go home to.
No, not no more.
Tell us about that.
So in 20, 2021, 2021, we were, just conceived our last daughter. Let me say our last daughter, our only daughter. And my wife was so excited to share that news. And, and my wife being pregnant, that was pretty much like the icing on the cake. That, despite my challenges, financial challenges. Let me put that out there,
Right,
because I
right.
want to make sure that that's clear.
Right.
Because people will be like, "Oh, you right there juicing on his wife." It
No.
was completely financial.
Financial, right.
And she, that right there, conceiving a child, showed me that, my wife is really looking to make sure that this marriage works. She didn't just say it. She made it happen in her actions.
Actions was there.
Definitely. So, we going on with our life, our daily routine, and just experience life, whatever comes. So, it was August. There was a doctor out of Exuma who passed away from COVID. And at that point, that's where I see my wife started to get nervous. Now, I didn't know if she had a premonition or if she had dreams of what was to come, but she was very nervous, and she didn't know how. She was debating about taking the vaccine. And at the time, the vaccine wasn't available here for pregnant women. It was only the Pfizer that was approved in pregnant women. And of course, she didn't want anything to happen to the child, so she waited for the Pfizer because it was talks that it was coming. And we waited on it. I got vaccinated first. Got my first shot in July. August, she took the shot on like the 20th, so like the end of June, the ending part of August. And after she took the shot, she started to get sick, started to show symptoms, but we just thought it was just regular symptoms
Right.
after the shot.
After the shot.
But after, Monday passed, she's feeling ill. She missed work. And anybody knows my wife, she don't miss work at all. She feel that she has to serve the children of the country. So she always was all
She
out.
was a pediatrician.
Pediatrician.
She was a pediatrician.
And Monday passed, didn't go to work. Tuesday passed, didn't go to work. And I was like, hold on, we really need to see what's the matter, because you don't be sick, and you don't be sick for this long.
Yeah.
Wednesday, it didn't happen again. She didn't go to work. So I was like, but we need to kind of start to look to get you, some serious help. So Thursday, we finally went to the hospital, and we both were diagnosed with COVID. And Thursday, she's laboring, struggling for breath. And that's the night they admitted her. And, she's just going through the motions, trying to make sure that I'm okay.
Right.
And she's feeling it, but she's still trying to make sure that I'm okay. And they had to take her upstairs. And when they took her upstairs, she said something powerful to me. And that right there, that is when I knew that, I have experienced unconditional love. Despite the challenges in our marriage, and every marriage has its challenges.
Right.
But despite our challenges, my wife, as they wheeled her into the elevator, my wife looked at me and she said, I love you, dead my eye. I love you and I forgive you. And for me right there, that was powerful. That was very powerful that she was able to express that to me. After that, she was airlifted. I'm giving you the brief version.
Right.
she was airlifted to the U.S. and when I unfortunately I couldn't travel with her because I was
You had COVID.
I was positive for COVID, and I couldn't travel with her. But when each day, and that right there, that whole COVID experience was mental because I'm isolated from my kids, and my wife is abroad with my daughter in tow. So all kind of stuff going through my mind.
You at this point, you like, what else could I do? What else could happen?
What else could go wrong?
Because you don't feel like you've been to the bottom of the barrel and you finally started to see the light of day.
Can't get no lower than this. That's what I thought.
Right.
And when I tell you, I couldn't, she was intubated. And what intubated is that you're in an unconscious state. So your vitals are up, everything's still working, but they have you under for observation and for whatever else. But it was on Saturday morning, I would never forget, on her birthday. They called me. I couldn't sleep the night before at all. They called me, and they said they needed to deliver my daughter. This was 7:30 in the morning. And I thought the plan was to keep her in as long as possible. They said, yeah, but she's in distress and my wife is in distress. I say, no, man, you can't be serious. I was planning to go and stay with my wife on her birthday because that was her birthday.
Right.
Later on that afternoon, but I got that call. I was like, you know what, I need to head out to the airport right now. So throw some clothes in the bag, flew down to the airport. And I got a call 2 hours later. So this is 9:30. I'm back. I'm in the back by U.S. Border Patrol. And that call there like shook my world. Dudes them called me and said that, Demetrius, where are you? I said, I'm trying to get on the plane. They said that your wife is dying. I say, no. I say, not my wife. I say, y'all got it mixed up. They say, yeah, you need to get here. I say, trying to get on the plane now. So when I got on the plane, I cried the whole flight. The whole flight I cried on Bahamas Air. And ran out the airport, catch the first taxi out of Lauderdale Airport. Got to the hospital in like 10 minutes. And when I pull up to the hospital, I got hospital personnel standing outside waiting for me. Now, I've been married to the doctor. I know what that means, but I just couldn't accept it. And when I went upstairs, I saw a nurse walking towards me. Before she came to me, I look around the room. And when I say, Carlo, not a dry eye was in the room. And the woman said that your wife just passed away. So she passed away at 1:15. I got there at 1:20.
Oh.
And, but like all of the stories, like in retrospect, like I ain't gonna lie, I was crushed. Still crushed. But when I was able to see the impact that my wife had on people that she didn't even meet, because the phones in the States was buzzing from the doctors over here, checking up on her.
Yeah.
I didn't know what type of impact that my wife or legacy that she
lived the purpose. So she lived the purpose.
That's what they say. But me selfish, at the end of the night when they laying down in the bed, ain't nobody on the side of me.
Yeah.
So I can agree that she did live her purpose.
But you feel shortchanged.
Of course.
As a human, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I got 3 kids who only one really have a understanding of what's going on. I have a daughter who we were happy to have, who will never meet her mother.
So let's start with your daughter, right quick. I don't know if you want to share. I think you would share with me. How much did she weigh when she was born?
My daughter, so just for the benefit of your viewers, my daughter's birthday was the same day her mother died. And her and her mother shared the same birthday,
Right.
which is September the 4th.
Right.
They both were premature
Right.
at 7 months. They both, their birth weight was 3 pounds, both of them.
Both of them. So they're both born September 4th, both premature at 7 months, both 3 pounds at birth.
Correct. Correct. I could tell you, like, it was one of the most surreal things that I've ever seen. And a lot of people talk, oh, this is your wife coming back into the world and all of that. And like, I see it now because when I see her face, like some of the things she makes, she looks like a mom, like identical. Yeah. And it's like, you know, God, you really have a sense of humor.
Really.
You know?
Yeah.
And even with that, I struggled the first week or so to connect with my daughter.
Right.
You know, and that's the challenge that we have in fatherhood as well. You know, I could tell you, like, I had to pray to connect with my daughter because I was so angry based on what has just transpired in my life.
Right.
You know, I just lost my wife. I have this baby who I don't even know. Like, dude, if I was to choose, I could choose my wife 8 days out of the week.
Right.
You understand? But unfortunately, life didn't have it that way. You know? And outside of that, I've seen, you know, how impactful she has been. You know, even in this baby who would never get to meet a mommy.
Right. So how was it being, correct me, my private school friend, if I used the wrong word. How was it being a widower?
Tough.
With 3 kids.
Tough. That is tough. But you would realize that you're gonna find the strength that you need, you know.
Is that another layer of the onion?
Yeah, trust me, I didn't even know that I would have made it this far. I could tell you, just felt like when looking at my wife lay out on the bed and in the coffin is like, this is unbelievable. You know, because in the moment, you know, everybody talks, oh, we there for you, we can support you and all of that stuff. But after that funeral, after the funeral ceremony is complete, everybody go back to normal. And there's no knock on them, you know, because they have their own lives to deal with. Yeah. One thing I can always say that my wife has taught me, nobody can feel sorry for you. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Do you feel sorry for yourself because you expect you out of them? Because we find ourselves doing this. Like, we find ourselves, I would do this for Carlo. I would do this for this friend. I would do that for that friend. And when we don't get the same in return, we feel some type of way.
And it's unfortunate that we feel that way, but we have to mature in our emotional intelligence to understand that they are not me.
How, like, just hold that thought for 1 second. I just want to, you know, make mention of, once again, Travelers Rest is taking care of us. We have Lobster Mark here. Just the first day, I'm going to jump right into this because I really enjoying this conversation, so I can eat this cold. But thanks to Dawn and the whole Travelers Rest crew, once again, I have my number 6 cigar. I drink some nice cab. My boy on some scotch and ginger. And we have Lobster Mark and cheese in front of us. Mm-hmm. But going right back to this, this is, I am in various circles and groups of people, and some of us we are some of the same groups. And when your name is mentioned, one word always follows that. The 2 words, but he's very strong, but he's strong. Like, tell us, how hard is this? Like, try to explain it. You say it's hard. Like, try to put it into words for us who haven't experienced this to understand.
So imagine, let's put it like this. Imagine you have, someone takes a knife or a sharp instrument and just from your head straight down,
It's cut you in half.
they cut you in half. Like half of you is legitimately gone. That's how it feels. Like half of you is legitimately gone. When you now look at scheduling, you know, the things that us as husbands or men and fathers, we take
never,
for granted.
We never did.
Never had to.
Yeah.
We almost like the CEO of the house. They only come in to get approval, and they ain't really even coming to get approval.
Just
You
to
know,
say-
they just coming for your signature.
Yeah.
They just coming for your signature. They already approve it. They just
Yeah.
coming for your signature to ratify it.
Right.
So when you now have to ensure that these schedules are maintained, doctor visits, grocery store run, cooking, and you still have a full-time career.
You cooking?
Yeah, man. Now we can eat. I ain't on your level. I can tell you, they ain't skinny.
How much? No, they ain't skinny. How much meals? How much meals a day? 2 meals.
No,
breakfast
man.
and dinner.
Breakfast and dinner
Every day.
every day.
Every day. No fat.
Now I can tell you, dinner may be pizza, but you know the boys like my corned beef and white rice and my spaghetti. So you know it's certain things I know that I could do. You know,
Right.
breakfast is me.
Yeah.
I always was breakfast.
You get this breakfast.
Now like with dinner, they can eat. We
They
ain't
can
gonna
eat.
die.
Right.
You know, you can look at me now. I probably
Yeah.
put on a little poundage and thing.
But you cooking your own food.
Yeah, most definitely. But like I say, us as men, we don't I wouldn't say we don't understand, but not until that resource is taken away and you're forced to get these things done. So we take for granted the women's role in the home. You know, we would sit there, oh, they ain't doing nothing. But like, let your wife go away for a week or two. You can see what the real deal is.
Because we ain't buying no toilet tissue. We ain't buying no shampoo.
No.
We ain't buying no toothpaste,
No.
no towels,
And
none of these things. We ain't making, now they say, we're not making the house a home.
No.
We only there,
Yeah.
you know, to do what, and those things. So now you have the fully wearing both caps.
Yeah, I mean, and she has set a great example. It isn't easy because you do have your moments, you know. It's hard. I can't tell you nothing.
Yes.
People may say it's easy or I'm making it look easy, but I can tell you when I have my 9-year-old crying for his mom, like I'm out of files. I don't have anything else to say.
No other word.
The only thing I could do is hug him. You know, I embrace him. You know, and I just wanted to share this real quick. But what has changed my perspective in this whole journey was my 9-year-old son. So one day, my son, he asked me to visit his mom's gravesite, and I wasn't ready for that, to be honest with you. Because, you know, during the whole time, you just moving.
Right.
But not until you stop and you really sit down and see, then you kind of, the emotions come out. But I told them, yeah, we could visit the gravesite.
Right.
So we visited the gravesite, and we're both emotional walking up to the grave. My son lost it, you know, and I held him as he cried. But in the middle of his crying, this dude stops, and this dude starts to pray. This dude tells God that he's thankful that he had his mom for 9 years, that she was the best mom in the world, and that he's gonna make her proud. When that dude say that, like, a spirit of gratitude came over me, because it's like, I know me and my wife did something well. Because this dude at 9 years old expressed a level of appreciation he had for his mommy. Like, dude 9, but you ain't gonna have your mommy no more. But you was able to still be thankful in that moment.
Yeah.
From that moment on, I was like, you know what, God, you speaking loud and clear. Because if my son could say that,
I should be like spinach to you, like Popeye, spinach
Easy.
to Popeye. Yeah,
Easy.
Should be power.
you know, and I was so grateful that I heard that. I didn't even have to have no second. I was in the moment with him.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, it hurts. When I say it hurts, it hurts. I drive in the car crying. I cry in my closet, you know. My son sees me, I cry with my son, you know, because a big part of our life has been disrupted. Our life has been disrupted, but we have to chart a new course.
Yeah, and you know, as anybody else, I try to put them on the spot and ask them tough questions, and I feel like you've shared so much with us, but I can ask you a tough question. About 2 weeks ago was February 14th. How was that for you?
Um, it wasn't hard because me and my wife never really
Celebrate.
commercialized Valentine's Day.
Right.
She was never a big flower person. She was never a big person on Valentine's Day. I tell you, when I say I had an awesome wife, do it. I go to the food store and I bring a munch from the candy aisle. She would light up, and like I gave her a brand new car or something. And that's the type of person that I had physically. You know, I could truly say that I experienced unconditional love.
You feel like I hope this one goes our friendship. You feel like you lost some years because of when you was in the dark place?
Most definitely. But at the same time, I didn't want to beat myself with that stick, because even though I struggled, this woman was on the side of me each step of the way. Now, we may not have been smiling and going out to functions and giggling as much as we did because of what circumstances has presented, but I could tell you, she still held my hand each step of the way and walked with me. She may have been mad. Don't tell you she didn't argue.
Yeah.
She carried on, but she never stopped. And that's what you need in a teammate, in a partner, in a wife. You need someone who's not gonna give up on you, even when it looks like it's not gonna happen.
No light at the end of the tunnel.
No, not at all.
That's what made it so hard for you.
Yes. I mean, like, literally, if anybody who knows us, I don't keep friends. I don't go hang out with dudes and stuff like that. Like, literally, when you see me, you see her.
Yeah.
The only time you didn't see me is if I was playing or coaching a football game.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
Speaking of flag starting again, you don't get no time to coach.
the heart is there, but the schedule doesn't permit.
Doesn't permit.
Right
So
now, my priority is a little
You're
different.
doing Pampers. You're doing late night snacks,
Yeah,
drinks,
yeah.
Bubba's bottles.
Yeah.
Bottles.
I mean, I done that too before, so it ain't nothing. It's just
But you had two with L.
exactly. That's
know,
I mean, but I am getting help from the grandmothers who have stepped in, and they've been phenomenal. You know,
Right.
because with I can't tell you without their support and without support of many people, because I can tell you, people tell me in the food store that they praying for me, and they're talking about people I never met in my life.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't have made it this far without those people.
TJ, this is a unique situation, and I'll go on record and I'll say I have to be very careful, because you might not have been the only one that have lost their wife and have children.
No, funny that you say that. There was another guy a couple of weeks later. His wife was an immigration officer. I just saw a guy, he lost his wife a week or two ago. He just funeralized her. And it's like this is the norm for the last year, like men losing their wives. But it can be done. It may seem difficult, like the first is the ones which kill you. All of the first milestones. So like we buried her on the 25th. Our wedding anniversary was 1 week
I
later.
know, right.
One Saturday later. That broke me. My son's birthday was on the 19th of October, which was 2 weeks later from our anniversary. So his first birthday without his mom, that broke me because she wasn't there. You know, it's just a series of firsts, you know. And we still have firsts to go because it hasn't been a year
And
yet.
you had Christmas.
Christmas and New Year's,
So
you know. And she was big on holidays. So it's like all of the firsts is going to be difficult. People say it's going to get easier. But I don't think...
We say that because we're not in the situation.
No.
Let's keep it 100. It's a cliche. Things
It
want
is
to get better.
It is
but
cliche.
we only say that because we don't know what else to say. We're not in the situation, so we can't say it can get better because we don't know when it can get better and if it's going to get better.
So we cope. We find a way to cope with it. So you may not cry every day. You may cry, your crying may reduce down to 4 and 5 days. Then maybe, you know, things like that. You just find a way to cope with it. So for me, I kind of pivot into my kids and like just fully invest myself in them, you know. But it's not going to be easier, but you find a way to cope with it, and you just hope that whatever purpose you're here for, you fulfill that.
You know, and to all and anybody that you know somebody that has been through a situation like this, you know, continue to try and be, you know, that person that understands the position that they're in. You know, we never know what to say if we're not in the situation, if we never experienced it, like you mentioned earlier. But just having the air, just being the air for somebody that's been through the situation sometimes is enough.
Dude, I could tell you this. Somebody approached me and they was like, you know, I don't know what to say to you because, you know, you just lost your wife and the situation. And I told them, I say, sometimes you just need someone to sit down and put their arm around you. Don't say a word.
Yeah.
You don't have to say nothing.
Yeah.
You just sit down with me. And your presence alone is more than enough. I think so many times we try to find the right things to say. Don't say nothing. Just sit down. Yeah. And you'll be surprised that, you know what? That person will open up. They'll talk with you. Like, literally, I had a friend I sit down with the other night. I just sit down. I nothing to say. And we just sit down because I know you're struggling. Yeah. You know, but we need to find, we need to normalize, just like you said, we need to normalize conversations. We suck at communication, but without communication, nothing else exists.
Yeah. I feel like we need a part 2 to this because this could get into like, you know, different rules and different, like you say, normalizing life as men and not living under the stigma of what society have us portrayed to be or what we should be. You know, we run out of time. I could try to go as long as I could without getting, you know, locked up. I know people trying to get in and have a good time. We are in Travelers, we are Smokeless Lounge. It's time to smoke. Everybody off from work. Demetrius, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story as a friend, as a father, as a brother, as a husband. You know, I respect you and I value you and I appreciate the time that you take to share the story because it isn't easy to open up. It was a journey for you. You got to this point and we have sat down, me and you, and we've cried and we've shared stories and it's not easy for men. You know, the world has changed. We have to now be comfortable enough in not trying to, what I said earlier, not trying to continue to hold on to who everybody has us to be when we are at our lowest points. Because what end up happening is we end up draining ourselves. We unplug ourselves from the socket, but the image of what everybody expects us to be is still there. But in our mind, we losing it.
Yeah.
You know, and before we get to that cliff to where there's no return and we do something stupid or idiotic and we can't take it back, we need to find that person. So find that person. I'll say, pick up the phone, send a message, check on a friend. Don't take nothing from you.
No.
To shoot a message.
No.
Hey, you good?
No.
What you need? I need nothing. I need checking on you. Yeah, man, I all right. No, bro, you good? No, I all right. And we go and we do that. We make that a purpose. We used to it as friends. You check on me, I check on you. I want to encourage everybody to do the same who watches this particular episode, male or female. We all go through it. Life can be exhausting. Full-time job, children, trying to maintain a healthy marriage, trying to maintain a healthy self. It's not easy, but we have to find a way to cope. We have to find a way to get through, to make it through, and I will try my best to bring Demetrius back along with some more fathers and men, and we'll talk about fatherhood, life, and both those that we could do widower, a divorcee, a married, a single father, and we could talk about all the similarities we have and all the differences we have. And this is this podcast is for me to use to bring awareness to different things. And this is, like I said, the other podcast is talking about sports and entrepreneurship, and this is one that really touched home for a lot of people, and I feel like this is the one that is going to surprise a lot of people to know that we as men could have this conversation. You were what, 39?
39.
I'm like 38. Both have 3 kids, both married. We know what it is to struggle growing up as kids. You had the privilege to go into one of the little choky private schools out in the eastern area. I went to, a privileged, esteemed, second to none, public institution. But all in all, we've made it.
Yeah.
We have made it. We pushed through. We played football together. We're making it,
yeah.
and we're going to continue to do so. So find your purpose. Check on that friend. This is Spot On Podcast. My good friend Demetrius D. Bastian, the best linebacker outside of Colorado to play in the CAFL. We are right here, Travelers Rest. We are sponsored by Travelers Rest, the Sport Grill. We are recorded by Marky G. Every Wednesday, we right here, Travelers Rest, Smokers Lounge, cigars, beverages, food. My food done cold. We're going to eat. See you next week. Same place, same time. Spot On Podcast.